School of Health Sciences, our last one, because it was the last course to be introduced. Our core values are professionalism, ecumenism, integrity, partnership, equity, and consumer centricism. Our historical background. Your Excellency, the institution has a prestigious history of more than 119 years, making it one of the oldest institutions in the country. The origin of the university goes back to the early years of missionary work in East Africa. In 1875, the Church Missionary Society, that's CMS, founded a settlement for freed slaves at Freetown near Mombasa. In 1888, the Reverend E.A. Fitch began a divinity class designed to offer some practical skills and Christian leadership training to those freed slaves. Later in July 1903, the Reverend H.K. Beans laid the foundation stones of the St. Paul's Divinity School at Freetown in Mombasa. And that's quite some distance from here. So then how did we get here? This stone can be seen on the front of the present chapel at Limuru, to where the original Divinity School was transferred in January 1930. And if you will have time after your lecture, we may take you around so that you get to see this beautiful stone. The Divinity School continued as an Anglican institution until 1949, when the Presbyterian Church of East Africa and the Methodist Church in Kenya joined and brought in their ministerial candidates for training. In 1954, the transitional union was accomplished when the three churches formed a college council to run the affairs of the college. And on the 1st of January 1955, the CMS St. Paul's Divinity School became St. Paul's United Theological College. In 1973, the Reformed Church of East Africa formally joined the other three churches as the fourth participating partner. In 1993, the National Council of Churches of Kenya, that's the NCCK, in its corporate identity, was admitted by the Governing Council as the fifth participating partner in the ownership of the college. In 1989, St. Paul's received the certificate of registration to operate as a university, and on September 14, 2007, the university was awarded a charter to become St. Paul's University, as we are known now, and as we are proud to be known. St. Paul's University maintains its ecumenical nature and has over 26 Christian denominations represented in the community, and also has students from other religious traditions, including Islam and Hindu. The university is based upon the union of the four participating churches and one corporate body. These trustees are the Anglican Church of Kenya, the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, the Methodist Church of Kenya, the Reformed Church of East Africa, and the National Council of Churches of Kenya. These institutions provide governance through the Board of Trustees, University Council, Human Resource Committee, and the Finance and General Purpose Committee. Our governance. The university is based upon the union of the four participating churches. I already mentioned that. The management structure of the university is as follows. The running of the university is managed by the Board of Management, which comprises of various officers heading different key departments. These are the Vice Chancellor sitting right next to you, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, that's the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic Affairs, to my left, and the Deputy Vice Chancellor who is in charge of Finance and Administration. The Finance Manager is also part of this management structure, and we also have the Registrar Administration, the Deputy Registrar Academics, the Deputy Corporate Affairs Manager, the Dean Faculty of Theology, the Dean Faculty of Social Sciences, the Dean Faculty of Business, IT and Communication Studies, the Dean of Students, the Principal Nairobi Campus, the Campus Coordinators Machakos and Nakuru, the Internal Auditor, and the Human Resource Manager. On to our academic programs. St. Paul's University has 58 accredited programs covering theology, education, business, communication, ICT, social sciences, peace and conflict management, leadership, and health sciences. The university has 17 postgraduate programs, 3 PhD programs in development studies, theology, and business administration and management, 12 accredited master's programs, and 2 postgraduate diploma programs, namely postgraduate diploma in higher education pedagogy and postgraduate diploma in Islam and Christian-Muslim relations. SPU postgraduate programs are offered through taught courses and research. And now to our faculties, directories, and centers. St. Paul's University has 3 faculties, namely the Faculty of Theology, the Faculty of Business, Computer Science, and Communication, to which I belong, and the Faculty of Social Sciences. The university has 4 directorates, namely the Research and Innovations Directorate, the Quality Assurance Directorate, the Directorate of Postgraduate Studies, and the Directorate of Open, Distance, and E-Learning, which will soon become our virtual campus. SPU has 6 centers, namely the St. Paul's Institute of Lifelong Learning, fondly referred to as PIL, and the Leadership Development Center, the Center for Integral Mission, Center for Bible Translation, Center for Christian-Muslim Relations, Center for Ethics, Integrity, and Governance, and the Center for African and the African Center for Biblical Equity. On research, partnerships, consultancies, and community engagement, the university has a vibrant research directorate that undertakes research in public health, entrepreneurship, education, business, and information technology. And while at this, it partners in with several international research bodies, and these, of course, have resulted in multiple linkages and partnerships. The Research Directorate works with the National Council of Churches of Kenya, that's the NCCK, the Medical Benevolent Foundation, that's MBF, Kempton University, Emory University, Drexel University, among others. Finally, to our business arm. St. Paul's University has an enterprise arm, that's the St. Paul's University Enterprise Unit that provides professional short courses to enhance the capacities of members of the community in leadership, development, entrepreneurship, and theology, among others. Through sponsored courses, we have impacted national and county government officers and women groups, among others. The university, in collaboration with the Anglican Church of Kenya, has developed the Church and Community Mobilization Program, which is taught to those serving in the churches around us. The University Health Center provides services to students, staff, and members of the local community at affordable costs on a 24-hour basis. The St. Paul's University National Bank branch serves both the St. Paul's University community and the external community, and the playgrounds are accessible to the community when students are not on campus. The university grounds are also used for events such as weddings, and conference halls are also available to those who may be willing to hire them. The university endeavors to fulfill its mission of developing servant leaders who will transform the world, and this is the reason why we are the university of choice. Your Excellency, before I sit, allow me to recognize my team. It's a team of able leaders of the Student Association. May we kindly stand? And the association leadership is organized in 2 levels. We have the Supreme Council, which is in charge of all the 4 campuses. Members of the Supreme Council, just kindly raise your hand. And then we have members of the Governing Council who are in charge of the campus. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and welcome to St. Paul's University.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marvin. Here at St. Paul's University, we take and encourage student leadership and governance. And the chair of the students' body, together with the Secretary General, sit in council, which is the highest decision-making organ of the university. They also sit in Senate, where academic decisions are made. So we do count them as our partners. Why don't we appreciate the leadership of the students' body? It is now my honor to invite our Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, Professor Peter Ngure, to come and give his welcome and remarks.
Thank you for protecting me from you. Our guest speaker, the Ambassador of Sweden here in Kenya, Madam Caroline Vicini, our Vice Chancellor, the Reverend Canon Professor James Combo, the members of the Board of Management and the Senate, the very able staff at the Swedish Embassy, our friend Madam Mutheu, who I should at this juncture really thank for very ably coordinating this event from that part of Nairobi. Our sister from Sweden, Hibo Ahmed, our student leaders, our professors, the CEO of Ecobana. Congratulations for getting the American visa. Yeah. We'll escort you to the airports. And our very esteemed students, good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to stand on this podium, because whenever we stand here, there is always a promise that something good is happening. Indeed, in the last 2 years, we've held our graduation ceremony on this podium. However, this year, we have resumed the face-to-face graduation, and that is very heartwarming. Allow me, Madam Ambassador, to introduce to you the members of the University Senate and the Board of Management here present, and may I kindly ask my colleagues to be upstanding so that I can mention your names. I'll start with the principal Nairobi campus, the Reverend Trufikwa Kasumba, and our very able MC, the Deputy Registrar, Dr. Ruth Kingo, the Dean, Faculty of Theology, the Reverend Dr. Kithinji, the University Librarian, Mrs. Irene Kibande, the Dean, Faculty of Social Sciences, Dr. Suleiman Mwangi. As I mentioned your name, you can resume your seat. Our Deputy Corporate Affairs Manager, Mr. Michael Mungai, and the patron of Ecobana. We are proud about your achievements. Professor in Theology, why am I forgetting your name? Professor Kabiro, one of the best theologians around here. He has several PhD, including those that graduated last year. Eli Karaoke, our student leader, the student chairperson. Last year we were using the term President Marvin Ibrahim. Our very able human resource manager, Lucy Gekeri, Dr. Susan Mwangi, who actually taught at PhD, so this is my product, but now my colleague, and my very good friend, Dr. John Muhoho Wakimani. Please have your seat. And then we have our director, SPU Virtual Campus. By the way, students, we are switching names from Model to the Virtual Campus. Thank you so much for helping us, especially in the COVID period. And we have the HOD Nursing, Madam Susan Wanja. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody else. So those are the members of the University Management and Senate. Allow me to make 1 or 2 comments, Madam Ambassador. The first one is to extend a very warm welcome to you and the team for considering us. Your schedule is arguably one of the most busy schedules that we can fathom. And for you to choose to dedicate a whole afternoon to our very good university, it's really a gift that we take with humility. So feel most welcome. This is the greatest university in this country, no doubt. And this is the place where we produce leaders, as our vision says, for global service. And since we are producing leaders, servant leaders for global service, this is an event where we want to continually connect our students and our staff, not just to the African continent, as Ecobana has done, but to the whole world. This afternoon, we'll be connecting with Sweden. And those, how many of you have been to Sweden? At least through the internet, isn't it? Sweden is a beautiful country, very, very nicely forested, with one of the best healthcare systems. That is where we have 100% coverage, universal healthcare coverage. If you compare that with Kenya's 55%, which is actually 55%, almost theoretical, because finding yourself in a hospital is a risk by itself. because you get exposed to what we call in microbiology nosocomial infections, hospital-acquired infections. Sweden is also known for having very, very good people. If you're planning to do postgraduate studies, I would encourage you to apply to a university in Sweden, because sure enough, where we have discrimination and such ills, that is definitely not Sweden. The Swedish people are very, very friendly and very good. Sweden has excellent universities. I have a few friends at the University of Gothenburg, one of the largest university in Sweden, and the University of Umeå. And there are many more universities, including private universities, that I would want to recommend to you for your postgraduates. And if you're not at postgraduate level, continue to be with us. We'll nurture you, we'll prepare you, so that when you get your visa to Sweden, which I guess, Madam Ambassador, will not be very complicated, because you visited us, and we have a friend who actually represents the President and the Prime Minister of Sweden. So it's really a pleasure. Sweden is a great country. Sweden has also recently gone through the election process. Madam Ambassador gave us a few hints, which I don't want to quote, because she may be wanting to quote them. And you'll also be pleased to know that Madam Ambassador Vicini participated actively in the Kenyan electioneering process. She was there in Kilifi, she was there during the campaigns, she was even there at the Bomas, and she even went to the inauguration ceremony and beyond. So, allow me to invite my boss, the Vice Chancellor of St. Paul's University, the Reverend Canon Professor James Kombo, to officially welcome Her Excellency the Ambassador to give us the public lecture. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. God bless you.
Thank you, Prof. I think I also want to protect myself from me. How is everybody this afternoon? Are you well? Yes. We are well over here as well. The guest of honor, the Ambassador of Sweden, Her Excellency Caroline Vicini, St. Paul's University, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, members of Management and Senate, and you have been introduced. The guests accompanying the Ambassador, Ms. Mudeu Mbondo, Trade Culture and Promotion Officer at the Embassy of Sweden in Nairobi, and Hibo Ahmed, an intern, Political and Trade Section. Staff and students of St. Paul's University here present, and those joining online. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We are becoming a busy university. And indeed, that is as it should be. The sight before me is beautiful and worth beholding. Students and staff standing, sitting to hear public lecture. Isn't that what universities should be doing? Because in this, it doesn't discriminate. The professors and a new student entering university sits down to hear and to be instructed. And we all go out together, we have been classmates. Whether you are a PhD holder or a diploma entrant, we have been instructed together. And so this is a great sight to behold. The organizers of this, thank you very much for work well done. And we have the assurance that this indeed is the way to go. Ekubana team, congratulations. We have talked about innovation, learning and the workplace. And we have preached about this. And as the ministers of the gospel would tell you, we have conversions now. We are people who are becoming innovators, and we can see innovators right here with us. While we have the Ekubana team, I would want to ask the Ekubana team to rub it on us and everybody here, so that as we move forward, we are known as an innovation university. No longer sitting and waiting just to be told and to be encouraged, but encouraging itself and one another so that together we can share in the glories that bigger and perhaps well-known other institutions have engaged and are involved in. And so, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs, thank you very much for work well done, organizing this and having this in place. I want also to say the same congratulations to Mike here for a job well done with the students as you have been working on the project, and now we can hear the footsteps of victory for you, even as you march to the airport on Sunday. And I want to say congratulations and enjoy that flight as you go. Professor Ngure did promise that he might as well escort you to the airport. Thank you so much, and enjoy that flight. It's not a day for me to speak. I have had my days. And since this, is it pulpit now, or what is this now? It is now a podium, but it translates into a pulpit when the other duties are in place. Allow me to introduce our guest speaker so that she can take up what is before us and move us on. Our guest speaker is Her Excellency Caroline Vicini, the Ambassador of Sweden to Kenya. Her Excellency has served in different positions. She is currently the Ambassador of Sweden, Kenya, and to Seychelles, the position she has served since her appointment in September 2020 for Kenya and 2021 for Seychelles. From 2019 to 2020, Her Excellency was the Swedish ambassador to Afghanistan. From the year 2015 to 2019, she was the Deputy of Mission Delegation of European Union, Washington, D.C., United States of America. From 2010 to 2015, Her Excellency was the Chief of Protocol, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Stockholm, Sweden. 2008 to 2009, Her Excellency was the Managing Director, Kreab Gavin Anderson, Washington, D.C., United States of America. 2004, 2008, she was the Deputy Chief Mission, Embassy of Sweden, Washington, D.C., United States of America. 2001, 2004, she served as the Director and Deputy Head of the Department of European Security Policy, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Stockholm. 1999, 2001, Her Excellency was Deputy Director, Department of European Security Policy, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Stockholm. 1988, 2001, she worked as the second and the first secretary in the Embassy of Sweden in Alger, Algeria, Paris, and Rome. And 1994, and we are beginning to read like some of us were not even there then. No, exactly. 1994, 1995. Sounds really far, but some of us can remember the occasions then. Her Excellency was the program officer, World Food Program, headquarters in Rome, Italy. Her Excellency has a master's degree in International Business Administration from Gothenburg School of Economics, Gothenburg, Sweden. Languages: Her Excellency speaks English, French, and Italian, and a little bit of German. Family: Her Excellency has a family. She's married and has 2 daughters. Her Excellency, sounds like that was elaborate.
It's complete. Some cousins might that we can mention that.
Shall I now ask you to please come?
Yeah.
And address this congregation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chancellor. So finally, please be seated. Mr. Vice Chancellor, and my favorite expression, all protocols observed, thereby encompassing everyone here, including the students for whom I'm really here. It's such a pleasure. I really rejoice these moments when I can get out and meet young people. As you heard, I've worked for a long time in the United States. I've been to many universities in the United States. I've been to many pitchings in the United States as well. So I wish you good luck. This is the big adventure, really. And congratulations to the whole university of having starting this tradition of entrepreneurship. And I hope many will follow in those footsteps. So by that, you and I, we have something in common. We in Sweden have just had elections, and you have also had elections here in Kenya. In both Sweden and Kenya, that led to a change of power. In Sweden, the last votes were counted last night, and the opposition leader will now get a chance to create a new government. I will talk a lot today about democracy and elections and accountability, but I must point out that as a foreign diplomat, I have absolutely no opinion on who won the elections in Kenya and who was just sworn in as a president. For me, it could have been either one, so I'm completely neutral in that. I want to point that out. It's quite important, actually. This was a choice of the Kenyan people, but I will, however, talk about the process, if you allow me. My government, or now my almost previous government, they are a caretaker government for the moment, actually charged all Swedish embassies and ambassadors all over the world to promote and defend democracy. So this lecture here is definitely down that path. So, who am I? Beyond what you have just heard, I am, as you know, the ambassador of Sweden. I see you have put up the Swedish flag. That's the blue and yellow flag beside the Kenyan, and I'm very grateful for that. We are a country, or Sweden is a country in the north of Europe, the very north of Europe. Actually, as the equator runs through Kenya, the polar circle runs through Sweden. We have about 10 million inhabitants nowadays. Many of them looking like me, and that's, I think, the image you have of a Swedish person. But therefore, I just wanted Hibo to raise up. Come on, raise up. Hibo is the new generation of Swedes, because we have actually today 20% of our population who are immigrants in first or second generation. And when you come to Sweden, you will see that we actually have mostly immigrants who came to Sweden because of the democracy. Most of our immigrants are actually political refugees. So you can see it's like when you chop down a tree, you have the rings of a tree, you can see the different conflicts and the different challenges countries all over the world has had in the Swedish population. We have refugees from Chile, that is in South America, that is nowadays a democracy. We have refugees from Greece, that was a military dictature at a certain time when I was a child. We have refugees from Iraq, we have refugees from Syria, we have a lot of refugees from Somalia, we have now refugees from Ukraine. So Sweden has a sort of full spectrum of inhabitants who are now Swedish citizens who have their roots elsewhere. We are known for, just to try to place us, we are the home of the Vikings, together with our brother nation Norway. We are also home of many big companies that you might not know that they are Swedish. Like, for example, the most known, I think, in Kenya is Tetra Pak. The packaging of milk and yogurt and so on, that actually made their first international investment in the 50s in Kenya. And they have a production in Nairobi. I've been there. It's a great place. But also Ericsson, that makes mobile telephones and mobiles, particularly nowadays, systems for transmitting of mobile signals, etc. Scania, a lot of Scania trucks on Kenyan roads. Volvo, but also for you who are a younger generation, you might know Spotify. It's also a Swedish innovation and a Swedish company. And these are just a little handful of those many global companies that we have. We are a full democracy, I would say, since 1919, because that was the year when women got the right to vote in Sweden. And since then, we have universal voting rights. Everyone above 18 can vote in Sweden. We are a monarchy. So our head of state is a king called the 16th Gustav. But since we have had changes in our constitution, he has no political power at all. And he is the symbol of our country and a very active person, but no political power because the crown is inherited. So now it is his, when he passes away, it will be his eldest daughter that becomes the Queen of Sweden. And we have a parliamentary system to the difference of Kenya. So it means that we, there is the majority in parliament. There usually, you have to find a majority in parliament to create a government. So we have a prime minister and then a government. And we have only one chamber to the difference of Kenya that has two chambers. So that's a little bit about us, and that's why I wanted you to know where we come from. We are maybe not the most known country in Kenya, actually. But Sweden is among the 5 top countries in very many global indexes. We have indexes, global indexes on gender equality, on innovation, on human development, on sustainable development, on press freedom. And in most of these indexes, we are among the top 5 countries. And how come that has happened? Research, actually scientific research, points to democracy, integrity, accountability, and trust in the institutions as a fundamental for the success of our society. All these issues are linked together. And all those also promote a good investment climate, innovation and development, growth and equality. So what I'm trying to point at here, that a democratic society and a society with accountability and integrity also promote human development and economic development. In 1919, that I mentioned before, when Sweden became a country of universal voting rights, it was a quite poor country in the margins of Europe. We are not in the center of Europe, we are very much a country on the margins. When I was a child, I grew up in a house, and my neighbor across the street, he was born in the beginning of the 18th century, so 1902 or something like that. And I often went to see him, he was an old man then. He told me that his father was landless and actually worked as a sharecropper for a feudal landlord. So he grew up like that. His father worked for a part of the crop, of a share of the crop. This was a system that wasn't officially abolished until 1944. In Sweden also, when you talk about growing food, for example, you can do that just 4 months a year. The rest of the year, it's too cold to grow anything. Our economic success came from development of a democratic society, of trust and accountability, not only from God-given natural resources. But the values of democracy, the values of trust, of accountability, need to be reconquered every day. A democracy is not a building that you can construct and just start to use. It is an ongoing process under ongoing threat. And we see it all the time in Sweden. So let us now pick all these keywords apart. And I want to relate here to the Kenyan system, so we are a little bit in the same framework as you are not so familiar with ours. So let's start with the evident and where we just, what we just talked about. In a democratic system, power emanates from the people as expressed in a free and fair election. Kenya just have passed probably its most successful elections ever, and as was said here before, I've actually spent most of my working time on the Kenyan elections, I would say the last 4 months. And I've been to many sort of grassroots events. I've been in an observer for the European Union in Kilifi. I've been around to small polling stations out in the maize fields behind the coast there. I've been late at night observing the counting, etc. So I've seen it close up. And I must say that this election is probably outstanding on this continent. I know that there might be students here from other African countries, as you have a lot of nationalities present at this campus. And I think you should envy your Kenyan friends. It was like, you know, there was so many funny things going around on social media, you know, the Ugandans who said, how is it possible that you after 2 weeks don't know which president you have elected? We know already 2 years before who is going to be our president. So that is something that I found quite interesting observation, and shows, you know, that people around here envy you. It was free from violence. I think that is the most important thing. For somebody who has lived in a violent country, and I will come to Afghanistan afterwards, a country that, like Somalia, has been in war for 40 years, I can say that the absence of violence is something we all who live in countries like this, and like in Sweden, have to treasure every day. It is the person who believes that things can get better through violence, I think, is fundamentally wrong. You had this smooth and well-functioning election process on the ground. All the first layers went really well. I must commend the poll workers, those who worked for the EABC on the ground. People who really worked for 3-4 days without sleeping, almost without eating, tirelessly. And many of them were very young. And I mean, these are, for me, the real heroes of this election. There were contested results in the presidential election, but that was resolved according to the Constitution, which is also a very good thing. And the final result was accepted, and the new president is sworn in. And so now we are post-elections, and a new era can start. I had maybe one major issue with these elections, and it is the willingness or unwillingness to accept that you lose. Sweden's elections were also very close, as I said before, and an opinion writer in Sweden said